Apologies, I'm not talking into the microphone. The public is advised that it is council policy to record the proceedings of meetings of council on digital media to assist in the preparation of minutes and to ensure that a true and accurate account of debate and discussion of meetings is available. This audio recording is authorised by the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2015. I would also like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Tomagina people, and to pay our respect to those that have passed before us, their history and their culture. Item 1, we have record of attendance. All of our councillors are here this evening. There are no apologies and no leave of absence. Item 2, confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the Waratah Wynyard Council held at Council Chambers on Monday 22nd of January 2024, a copy of which has been circulated prior to the meeting, be confirmed as a true record, and any corrections to the minutes are to be identified and agreed at this point. Could I have a mover for that particular?
Can I ask a question before we move? I haven't been able to see the minutes. I did try to look for them, and I had young Councillor Roberts have a look and he couldn't find them either. There was 2 questions I asked last meeting, councillor questions without notice. One was how the sitting councillors that were on council at the time of the report, could they please explain why they didn't leave the room and why the ex-mayor voted? And I also asked whether we could release a summary of the report. I note that neither of them are on this week's agenda as questions without notice, so I don't know whether that impacts true and accurate minutes.
I'm going to have to defer to our General Manager.
Through me, can I clarify that the minutes in their entirety were not circulated as part of these papers? Because you couldn't find them? Yeah. Just bear with me. We will just check here on the front, if you like. Just hold fire 1 second.
Could be me, I'm getting old.
From my very quick look here, that appears to be correct. I don't believe the minutes have been circulated, so I don't think we can therefore action this particular item as it's put forward before us, 2.1, because you do need the opportunity to review the minutes.
That's why I asked someone younger just to make sure it wasn't me.
Okay, so item 2, we will defer that action to the next general meeting of council. Item 3, declarations of interest. Are there any councillors that have any declarations of interest, or staff, please? Not at this time, so we will move on to item 4, councillors' announcements and report. I have none to make this evening. The Mayor's Communications 4.2, recommendation that the council note my communications. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Bramage, could I have a second? Councillor Roberts. Are there any questions or comments regarding my communications? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 4.4, notification of council workshops. The recommendation is that council note the following workshops. There are 3 workshops there, and could I have a mover?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts, could I have a seconder? Councillor Johnson. Are there any comments from the floor? Are there any comments from the floor relating to this motion? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. That brings us to item 5, public questions and statements. Before we begin any public questions or statements, I will read a statement from My role as Chair, the Council encourages community participation in its meetings through the opportunity for public questions and statements. Consistent with Council's core values, councillors and staff strive to ensure all people are treated with respect and integrity. We expect our residents and ratepayers to apply similar standards in their dealings with Council. As Mayor, it is my responsibility to maintain the orderly conduct of Council meetings and to determine whether a question or statement is out of order due to the use of offensive, objectionable or defamatory expressions. I remind everyone that Council's meeting procedures request that you should note a maximum of 3 questions may be asked per person. Any parts to questions will be considered as questions. All questions to be asked before a response is provided. There is a time limit of 3 minutes per person to ask questions. Once a question is answered, there is to be no debate on that question. Public statements are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per person, and there are to be no questions and there is no discussion related to a statement. I ask members of the public to show proper consideration and courtesy in their comments. Mr. Ewington, you can be first this evening. You have both statement and question? Okay.
That good? I would like to bring the fact is just recently we had an event called Australian Day, which is a major event involving all community members. It's an event for all people of the community to go down the Gutchers Garden and be involved in the event. It is concerning that I have had many community members approach me and say, I didn't know it was on, didn't know what time or what it was going on. I'd done some investigation, and best of my knowledge, it was only on Facebook. Now, Facebook is only a part of, and a lot of members of the community don't have Facebook, which makes it very hard for other people who not access to Facebook know what's going on. In previous years, they used to put signs on incoming towards the town of what the Australian Day would be on such a date and such a time, which I feel that's important. And even if they put a small ad in the window places on the street would help a great deal, because a lot of members of the community were upset that they did not know it was happening, and I feel we need to try and improve on that and accommodate for all people who are computer illiterate or non. Also, I'd like to bring up the fact that the subject about Walker Street, renumbering of it. But what I can understand is there wasn't not a lot of information given to the owners of the business, of the owners in that street, or what was proposed to be done. I feel in this situation there should have been a registered letter sent to each owner who was going to be affected, and also have a meeting with them and discuss the options they have. Because change the number of a street is very involved with all government departments and other things. It's not a simple matter, and can affect them greatly. If there's a new subdivision, there should be just a new street, and I don't feel the council's handled this extremely well. Again, I'll bring up the tactile pavement, Park Street, English Street corner. Shopping complex IGA is a major shopping complex, and there's people in that area who have affected poor sight, and I feel that this, once again, I'm requesting that tactile pavers be installed in that area to improve the availability for members of limited visual sight to have safe entry to the supermarket and other complexes. And also I'd like to again bring up about the phone number. It only costs a few $100s to put in the white pages. Would be great access for people who don't have computer skills or mobile phones to understand the thing. This is just a few $100s, and I feel it's greatly appreciated by the elderly people of the community. Thank you. How did I go, Madam Chairman? Question one. Question one. The community is becoming a retirement centre with many long-standing members having limited mobility issues, including young mothers require concrete pathways to allow their access and inclusion to the town centre. Prevention of achieving this goal being caused by no concrete pathways in areas where the older parts of the Wynyard Somerset area. The council has committed money to complete pathways within the community to assist members having safe access to inclusion to the town. This concern has been strongly brought forward in the councillors at the 2022 election forums. Once again, can the management provide information regarding new pathways being installed where there are no pathways before within the older areas of the Wynyard and Somerset community? At the last meeting, provide information on replacement of existing pathways only. Do I go to question 2?
Yes, thank you.
Question 2. January 2024, council meeting members of the gallery were informed 3 times by the Chairman Mary that the time limit for statements and question time is 3 minutes and will be timed. I was the first member of the gallery asked to speak. I was not informed that the timekeeper would inform me that I has 30 seconds left to sum up my statement. I do feel timekeeper at January meeting was not allowing me the full 3 minutes to complete the statement. There were several speakers following me, and all that were allowed to complete their statement, which extended beyond the 7 minutes in time. Before the meeting, there is a requirement to fill out a sheet indicating if we're making a question or statement at the meeting. Reference to the question time, you are required to provide this in writing and present before the meeting outlining the detail of the question you are asking. One member of the community had not completed this process on the night and caused Chairman Mary to allow this member to have his say without any documentation on the topic. If the council is going to restrict speaking time, all members should be notified and the procedure should be displayed to all members of the community when signing in. Question 3. Right, Madam Chair? Question 3. Reference to the commitment in October 23 allocated $30,000 to install tactile pavers in the street curves within town centre, Wynyard and Somerset to provide important aid for members of the community with poor vision to have safe access and inclusion within the community. Other councils have completed major projects by installing tactiles throughout the community town centre, which allows members with poor vision to visit town centre to complete their shopping and meet people. The Waratah County is more than 30 years behind with installation of pavers. In October 23, $30,000 were allocated to install tactile pavers in the town centres. I have noticed pavers installed at Dodgen Street, Saunders Street Junction and crossing at the Market East Wynyard. Has this cost totaled $30,000? Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you very much for that. First of all, I will take on board your comments about my very poor timekeeping. I apologise. It won't happen again. And response to your third question.
Through you, I'll do question 1 if you like, and that was in relation to, I guess, missing footpath links. And Mr. Ewington, we've probably provided you this information on several occasions now, and nothing's changed. Each year, Council continues to allocate funds in its budget for new, I guess, missing links for new footpaths in missing links, if you like, in line with Council's footpath service level document. This year is no different, and it is up to the Council when adopting the budget to allocate funds that they see sufficient. So we've previously advised that Hog Street was the primary footpath that was constructed in this financial year, and we also outlined, I guess, a number of other footpath tasks that we're doing as part of this year's budget. So we have provided you that previously. We can send that on to you again, but I think that sufficiently answers your question you're asking in relation to footpaths. I'll ask Mr. Summers to respond to question 3.
Thanks through you, Mayor. I think it was actually the June council meeting that council made a commitment for $30,000, and that was for upgrading of DDA access to footpaths, predominantly ramps, but also including the tactile pavers. There was a report in July 2023 as well that went into detail for councillors' information around where those tactile pavers should be applied and perhaps where they ought not, making reference to information sources such as Australian standards and the Human Rights Commission. I think in October the question was more about have council completed the program for the year, and some were outstanding due to weather at the time.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Mr. Summers. Excuse me, Gaby Gatti, would you like to come forward, please? And if you press the button at the bottom of the microphone.
I'm just trying to figure out how to read my questions. So dear Mayor and Councillors, my questions tonight relate to Waratah Wynyard's position on possible merger amalgamation with neighbouring councils of Circular Head and West Coast. They have come from comments made by the Circular Head Mayor in the Advocate's Rodney Woods Link Advocate article on the 9th of February 2023 relating to council merger amalgamation with neighbouring councils of Wynyard, Waratah, West Coast, along with points raised in Circular Head's workshop briefing paper on the agenda of their general meeting of last Thursday, 15th of January, noting it was not a report or submission, informs through this small preamble to my questions. The headline of the article is Lack of Interest Results in Council Eager to Have Final Say on Merger by Rodney Woods. Circular Head Council to vote on merger calls with community help. Circular Head Council will vote at its February 15th meeting to endorse its proposed response to the final report of the Local Government Review Board. With this in mind, the Council wants to bypass the community vote when the time comes to make a final decision on mergers and have councillors vote on it on behalf of the community. We are of the opinion there is too big a percentage of community who don't do their homework, Mayor Gerard Blizzard said. In that response, the Council wants to consolidate the Circular Head, Waratah, Wynyard and West Coast councils into two entities and wants the process to commence as early as practical once negotiations are complete and there is certainly overfunding packages. Quite frankly, the people that talk to me about it are only a few, and there is a limited interest and limited knowledge about it until it gets on the doorstep. We believe that a vote around the council table would be a better way of doing it. LG Minister quotes, "Despite this, Mr. Street was looking forward to working with the council to deliver the reforms. Community consultation on the final report of the future local government review is open until the end of February. I'm really pleased to see Circular Head Council's positive and proactive engagement in this process, including around questions of boundary changes," he said. This reflects the positive, open discussion I have held in person with the council last year during the review process. While I've been clear that there will be no boundary changes unless both the council and community want them, as local government minister, I absolutely recognise that councillors are elected community leaders chosen to make decisions on the behalf and community's behalf, and I look forward to working with the Circular Head Council to deliver these important reforms. Circular Head Council supports the proposal consolidation of Circular Head, Waratah, Wynyard and West Coast councils into two entities with revised boundaries on the basis that this change provides a once-in-a-generation opportunity to fund significant local modernisation that would otherwise challenge local capacity and available grant funding. Notwithstanding the extensive background work required, we believe the process should commence as early as practical once negotiations are complete and there is certainty over funding packages. Circular Head Council will require this certainty in order to proceed. While councillors understand the reason the board has recommended a community vote, we question the need for one where councillors support the proposed changes. Councillors are elected community leaders chosen to make decisions on the community's behalf and should be allowed to make the significant decision when all relevant information is to hand. I must stress, yes, councillors are seen to be community leaders, but are elected as community representatives, whom as individuals, the best interest of the community, while as a council you are the following function: to provide for the health, safety and welfare of the community, and B, to represent and promote the interests of the community. One wonders how funding packages can be discussed without cost versus benefit analysis being completed and the 3 affected municipalities supporting the merger amalgamation are informed, especially with intending to have managed drop-in sessions and not a number of community meetings to discuss the issues and possible problems associated with merger amalgamations, as highlighted with the number of demergers due to amalgamations not working in a number of mainland states. I certainly hope Waratah Wynyard are not going down this path and leads to the following questions. Question 1. Can the council please provide the community the estimated costs regarding any future merger amalgamation that have been established for the Waratah Wynyard Council and community, including what the estimated costs are for the proposed merger amalgamated councils of Circular Head and West Coast if this merger amalgamation takes place in final LG Review Board recommendations? And question 2. With there being 508 mainland councils and the intensive research the Wynyard Waratah Council has completed through the knowledge and homework completed in forming your decision on possible merger amalgamations with the neighbouring councils of Circular Head and West Coast, can the council and councillors please provide the community they are elected to represent and work in the best interest of with 5 examples of where successful council amalgamations from mainland Australia have occurred, including cost versus benefit, modelling or analysis based on the following criteria. Councils are financially more stable and fiscal sustainable with incurring examples of lower rate and cost efficiencies. Council infrastructures has been improved to outlying suburbs and communities, including to regional councils. Council community services have improved to outlying suburbs and community, including to regional councils. Individual councillors' voice and input have improved regarding all decisions made by amalgamated councils. Community voice and input has been enhanced in the decision making of the council, and community voice and input into local planning decisions has been improved.
Thank you very much for those questions, and I will take them both on notice.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to 5.4, public statements received in writing. We have a statement there, 5.4.1 from Mr Hutchison regarding South West Rural District Council support. And we move on to 5.5, public statements without notice. We have had those statements. We will now move into our planning authority at 6:22. So item 6, the planning authority items, public questions without notice, nil. 6.2, public statements, nil received. 6.3, shop extension and boundary adjustment at 53 to 55, 57 and 59 Ragg Street, Somerset. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Hyland. Councillor Roberts, would you like to open the debate, please?
Well, I actually haven't got much to say about this, so I understand that there is a representation in there, and as we've explained many times, should they actually meet code, then we do, as a planning authority, have to approve them. So that is exactly what we will do in this circumstance, and I actually think it'll be a good thing for Somerset. So, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. I just will clarify, we do not have to approve the development applications as long as that development application does meet all of the criteria, etc. Councillor Hyland, do you wish to make any comments?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, it's obviously a good development, and particularly for Somerset. There has been a submission, and obviously the shadowing was the major issue, and I think all the drawings in the document explain are self-explanatory with the shade issue. And with most applications of late, there's always a little bit of an issue with shade, but the fact that we've got those drawings that produce the exact shade at the exact time of the day spells it out very clearly. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, and probably should congratulate the proponent. It's it's a good development, local ownership, and they employ a lot of local juniors in the area, which is a plus for our area. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Highland. Are there any further speakers to this motion, please? Are there any speakers against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. That closes our planning authority at 6:24. Item 7, matters raised by councillors. We have none for 7.1, 7.2. Are there any councillor questions without notice? 7.3.
Just quickly, there were two. There were two questions without notice from last meeting.
From the last meeting?
Yeah, for the responses to councillor questions without notice.
Through you, Mayor, 7.1 indicates there's nothing taken on notice from the previous meeting, but I suspect Councillor Courtney's alluding to the fact that the minutes have been excluded from this meeting, and therefore there may be some items that need to be added in, so we'll need to do that for a future meeting.
Thank you, Mr. GM. Councillor Roberts.
Look, I've just got a question in relation to the speed limits outside of town. I was contacted by a resident at Tacone that expressed some concern about the speed limits through the straight there with the amount of traffic and the people that live out there. So the reason I'm asking a question without notice, and it can also be seen as a foreshadow of a motion, which is, I know that Councillor Bramich and the other councillors as well have pushed for speed limit changes outside of town. And so my question was going to be, have we actually had a traffic impact assessment at Tacone just to see the risks associated with that area? And if we have not, can we perhaps maybe do that for the residents out that way?
Mr. Summers, would you like to respond? Thank you.
Yep, thanks through you, Mayor. I don't have the detail at my fingertips, so I'll certainly take the question on notice, but I'll point to a past rural road safety audit that Council commissioned and undertook. That looked at all the rural roads, and that would be a good information source that I'll look at to see if there are issues that were identified at that point in time in the Tacone Road area. So yes, I'll take it on notice and have a look at that report and see if anything was identified. Thank
you, Mr. Summers. Are there any further questions without notice, please, from the floor? Moving on to item 9.1, Future of Local Government Review, the final report submission. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. Could I have a mover? Councillor Raw?
So moved.
Yes, I'd like to move that. Yep.
Councillor Raw moved. Seconded.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. Councillor Raw, would you like to speak to this motion, please?
Yes, I'd just like to mention that we have done a lot of work around this, and each time we've been asked by the review to respond, we have done that. But I think the main thing to pull out of this last one that we've put in is the statement that a strong communication plan should be developed to ensure all people are aware of any proposed changes to local government structure and any possible changes on services. So we are really aware that engaging with the community is incredibly important at this time, and I'm really pleased to see that and know that that's in there as a statement.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Are there any further comments from the floor, please, regarding the final report submission? Councillor Roberts.
Actually, whilst we as a council have discussed this and we have looked at it in workshop, I actually just really want to credit our General Manager. The turnaround for these reviews and responses are very short, and our General Manager does an amazing job putting our ideas together to present back to the Local Government Review Board. And while I do understand people's concerns, I just really want to stress that we're very lucky to have such an exceptional General Manager, and I find that the responses, I'd really encourage people to go to www.futurelocal.tas.gov.au and actually have a look at the responses, and hopefully that can allay some of their fears that we do actually have concerns around this. And our approach with the community is hopefully one of togetherness, because that's the way we approach these sort of issues. So thank you to our General Manager.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further comments? Councillor Highland.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. I'd certainly like to support the previous comments, and I think actually this is probably the most important stage, and I think a lot of this is going to come back to the actual councillors of this council to get out there and really talk to people and listen to what they're going to have to say once we start pushing all that information out there. It's only a short window, but we really need to be at the forefront and really letting people know that we really care about the decisions we're going to have to make in a few months' time, and we really need all the information back that we can get to make a really good, solid decision in regard to this.
Thank you, Councillor Highland. Are there any further comments from the floor? Councillor Courtney.
I'm just going to note two things. That during the reform, I think we asked repeatedly whether there was any positive amalgamations on the mainland that we could use as a proof that this works, and I don't think to this date we've got that. I don't know where this is going to go, obviously, with the local election, and whether the government that comes into power is going to continue down this path, but I would like to reiterate that our submissions have been some of the best submissions that I've read through the process, and I note that a lot of the stuff that's come out of the local government review, it seems to be directly from the pad of Mr Crawford. So to our credit, this council's obviously put a lot of good responses into that local government review, because so many of Mr Crawford's responses are in that local government report. So I think that we've done a good job, and I'm not sure where it's going to go, but I am glad that we're making it clear that we will hear from our community. We will not make the decision on their behalf without consulting them properly.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Councillor Bramage.
Thanks. Excuse me. Thanks, Mayor. Look, as far as I'm concerned, the community is going to have a major input on this. I think we're all around this table. We're prepared to listen and go to them with whatever and bring it all back and try and put something together. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Are there any further speakers? If not, Councillor Raw, would you like to summarise or...? Okay, there have been no speakers against this motion. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.2, Community Activation Grants, Round 2. The recommendation is that Council allocate funding to the following organisations. Could I have a mover? Councillor Raw.
Yes, I'd like to move that, please.
Seconded.
Second, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Raw, would you like to speak to this motion, please?
Just being part of the group that works on deciding around those activation grants, it was easier this time because we had less than the funding and the number of people to put in, which is great. But that probably, in past times, we've had to limit things or shorten amounts of money that were required or asked for. At least this time we didn't have to do that. But it's good to see that there's always round 1 and round 2 for the community. It leaves it open for people to keep applying and, hopefully reach success.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Councillor Roberts.
I'd just recommend that people go on Council's Facebook page if they do have Facebook, and actually have a look at the cheques and the photos of where this money goes to. And I hope that our ratepayers and constituents would understand that we're trying to give back to the community as a council, and between these community activation grants and also the funding for state representatives and international representatives, I'd like to think that our community gives back to the grassroots, and as we should. So thank you very much to the council.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Courtney.
I think it's great that we're actually receiving more than just sports applications or the same community groups. I think it's great that we're now getting more groups that are applying for these grants, including the mental health work that's been going on, the programs that are being applied for funding. So I'd just like to say good job, I think particularly to you, Councillor Roberts, for putting it out there to every community group within Cooee. that we have the community assistance grants and that we are now receiving more than just the same clubs, which is fine. Upgrade your facilities, that's what we're here for, but it is good to see more groups, so we're actually breaking out into bigger areas where we can supply funding for things like these mental health programs and like the community groups. So I think it's great that we're sort of expanding the area that these grants are coming from, or the applications, I should say.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Raw, did you wish to summarise it all? No? Okay. There have been no speakers against the motion. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.3, the Quarterly Information Report, Infrastructure and Development Services. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, with a very comprehensive, thorough report. Could I have a mover, Councillor Courtney?
So moved.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts seconded. Councillor Courtney, would you like to speak to this motion?
No, I would like to just ask a question while we're in this specific area through you, Mrs. Mayor, to the engineering manager. A number of times we've sort of raised that rise going out onto the highway is a bit of a safety issue. Is this the time to say, look, are we still going to follow that up?
Yeah, through you, Mayor, look, I can continue to follow that one up. It's probably slightly outside of the quarterly report, but certainly happy to receive that and take it up. I know we have raised it in the past and not received an answer. So.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Councillor Roberts?
I'm just going to say the same thing I say every month, which is you're absolutely correct, Mayor, that these reports are very comprehensive. I cannot suggest enough for our members of our community to go and have a look at these. It will tell you everything from how many dogs have been registered, how many food permits have been handed out. It's got progress updates on pretty much every project in town, and there's accurate reflection of where we're up to. So if you want to know anything that's happening in town or in Somerset, in Waratah, please by all means read these reports and they'll tell you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Raw, your light is on, or Councillor Highland?
Yeah, me.
Councillor Raw.
Yes, Sherry. Yeah, I'd just like to point out the asset revaluations and asset management section in this part. I think it's an incredibly important section. Glad to see that addressed here. It also mentions the waste management services and the FOGO coming in on the 1st of July. Is that correct? 1st of July? Councillor Edwards and I went to a session the other day, and it was really great to see that the team of who are on communications and are going to be responsible for providing the materials that will go out into the community were extremely interested in running those materials past a group of local people, asking us, was it correct? Was it understandable? Was there anything else we needed to put in there? They also made the point that after taking on what the community was saying, and obviously adjusting things, that the materials will then hit the ground at the designated time, and then the council will be responsible for deciding how they're distributed. So it was a very good session to be part of, and knowing that I think that that's very thorough, what's going to happen in communication. And just the last thing I'd like to make note of from the report, the land and house valuations have all happened, and they'll come out to houses in April and May, and I really recommend that people check those and make sure they're happy with them, because they've got a short period of time to question those before they're finalised. So something every household needs to do.
Thank you, Councillor Raw, for your feedback on FOGO, and also for that important bit of information for property owners to make sure that their values are as what they expect, and to question them if they're not happy with those particular values. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.4, award of contract 812 Somerset stormwater outfall. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. Councillor Highland.
Yeah, move as per the recommendation.
Councillor
second
Bramich seconded. Councillor Hyland, did you wish to speak to this motion?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, this issue has been a long ongoing issue in the Somerset CBD, and it certainly will relieve a lot of pressure and a lot of water over the next few months, and I think is the intention to get it done before winter, Mr. Engineer, or not?
Through you, Mayor. Yeah, of course. We'd certainly like to have that done before we face the risk of winter rain events and flooding that has historically occurred. So.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, and in particular, I've had a fair bit to do with that, and particularly with an old lady that's still in a unit in behind the newsagents, and I think she's gone through about 3 floods over that period of time, so that'll certainly help things out in Somerset. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Are there any? Councillor Bramage.
Yeah, I'd like to touch on what Councillor Hyland said, and I don't disagree with any of it. It'll be money well spent for some of the residents over there that's been flooded.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Are there any further speakers? Any speakers against the motion? As there are no speakers against the motion, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.5, award of contract 813 grandstand demolition. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. Could I have a mover for that motion? Councillor Bramage.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Councillor Johnson. Councillor Bramage, would you like to speak to this motion, please?
Oh, just very briefly. I guess this is more than we budgeted for, but this day and age things change, and I believe everyone will be happy when the grandstand is gone because it's condemned, you can't use it, so why it be there? So I'm quite happy.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Hyland.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, obviously the Northwest Bird Club, their building is attached to the grandstand, but they are going to put a wall in that western end of that building, so it's still usable, that part of it, so they'll still be able to put their bird displays on at the annual shows for the next couple of years until they decide what action they'll take in regard to that.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Any speakers against the motion? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.6, financial report for the period ended the 31st of January 2024. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Roberts, could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Deputy Mayor Edwards. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak to this motion?
I just quickly want to say what I say every month. Our finance department does an amazing job. We're very, very happy with the results that we get. A credit to Mitchell over there, who does an amazing job and has to count it all up instead of us. So thank you, Mitchell.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers regarding the financial report? No. Councillor Hyland.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, just the interesting one that I usually follow, and that's our cash on hand that we have there, and just in that note there, the forecast currently is about 6.9 million cash on hand at the end of 30th of June 2024, and I believe that's probably nearly 2 million, 3 million over what we are required to have cash on hand to be financially sustainable. So excellent job. Congratulations over in the corner there and the staff. Good job.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Any further comments? Any more queries or speakers against the motion? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.7, the Senior Management Report. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. 3 parts, and one is to note the monthly Senior Management Report, note the submission for the 2023 draft population projections, and the rescinding of 2 policies. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor Courtney, could I have a seconder?
Seconded.
Deputy Mayor Edwards, seconded. Councillor Courtney, would you like to open the debate?
No debate. Just two items I'd like to follow up on. 8.2, around the Crown land issues. Just wondering whether we could sort of review following that one up again, given that we're looking at the Crown land around the walking paths and some of those properties being sort of over the line. So maybe we need to look at that particular item and see if we can get a response to that one. And the other one is 9.5. We still haven't heard back from the Ombudsman on how long their backlog is, or any response to the questions?
Through Mayor, 8.2, just to touch back on that one, I guess specifically we were looking at their Old Bass Highway, where there's a strip of Crown land in between each of the residences and the highway itself, which adds an extra layer of complication, I guess, for any developments that are looking to be done in that space. And so we were speaking to the Minister around, and the Minister's office around how we could work through, I guess, addressing that situation. So we need to follow that one up. We haven't done so in quite some time. The second point that you raised from the Ombudsman, I'll defer to Sally, but I don't believe at this point in time we've heard anything further.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers, queries regarding this report? Any speakers against the motion? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 10, matters proposed for consideration in the closed meeting. A recommendation that the Council resolves by an absolute majority that the matters listed below be considered in the closed meeting.
So moved.
Councillor Roberts moved. Could I have a seconder? Councillor Hyland. I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 11 is closure of the meeting to the public. The recommendation that the Council resolves by an absolute majority that go into closed meeting to consider the following matters. Councillor Roberts. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Hyland. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. And the closure of the open meeting is 6:46.